So you want to spend Halloween season at Disney, but you don't know whether you should go to Disneyland or Disney World. Well, Patty and I are here to tell you which one you might choose.
To all who come to our happy place, welcome to the No Guilt Disney podcast, where we have no guilt about our love for all things Disney Halloween.
We are 3 Disney fangirls who are 2 today.
Kind of the usual at this point.
The usual, right? Yeah, the usual. We're rotating. But we probably know a thing or two about Disney Halloween, more than most people should. And honestly, it's part of, one of my 5 personality traits at this point.
I honestly feel like we have become the experts at Disney Halloween. Like, we're really good at this, Jane.
I am not mad at it. There are worse things to be experts in. And yeah, I mean, when I scrolled back through our episodes and I was like, we have done a lot of Halloween episodes and I'm so proud.
Listen, Halloween 365, you heard it here first. Jane created it. She coined it. And we're going to keep going with it until they take it from us and trademark it. Because, of course, we didn't. But we should. Anyway. Sure. We'll get right on that, Rose.
I should probably introduce myself for anybody who doesn't know me, right?
Let's start there. That's always a good place.
We're going rogue because we're not in the usual sequence. Mm-hmm. My name is Jane. You can find me on Instagram at RealMouseWifeWDW.
I'm Patty Holiday, the owner of the No Guilt Universe, as I like to call it. That's NoGuiltDisney.com, No Guilt Fangirl, No Guilt Life, and No Guilt Travel. You can find me on all socials at No Guilt Life. And we just have had the last, I guess it's been about a month of back-to-back bi-coastal Disney Halloween for 2023. We did this last year too. And probably the year before there was no Disneyland.
Last year was my first.
Was your first one. Yeah. But we're here to talk a little bit about Oogie Boogie. There's a video that we put together, which I just have to laugh at us. Look, listen, y'all, we have really good intentions, but we're not vloggers. We're not good at recording on the fly. So I have this video put together from Oogie Boogie Bash, where I think Jane and I talked twice for like a total of, 4 minutes. But the rest of it is going to give you some highlights and some visuals if you are into watching Oogie Boogie Bash. And I think I have the whole Frightfully Fun Parade that will also be linked in there, along with Headless Horseman riding down. So you guys can check that out if you need some of that Disneyland version of things in your life. We did similar to this when we went to Mickey's Not So Scary, so you can go and see that video too. I'll link them below and I'll link them in the podcast show notes because our conversation was so short, it didn't actually make it to the podcast level. Like it wasn't worth stripping just the sound. So if you are interested in Disney World Halloween and you want to hear a little bit more about that, go ahead and go back. And we're going to touch on some of that anyway today, but you can go and see it on YouTube. And like I said, we did the same thing there. We talked a little bit, but mostly it was just we were having fun and collecting candy and enjoying the spookiness of it all. Same thing happened at Oogie Boogie because we're the worst.
We're not the worst. We have ADHD.
That's it.
And we tend to get distracted, as you can tell by sometimes our introductions into this podcast that we've been doing for 3 years.
Fair.
So there's that. But also, if you are a podcast listener and you do want to go ahead and listen to that on YouTube, like I frequently turn YouTube on my phone and just listen to it.
I do too.
So, that is an option. It's just like Patty said, like the quality is just not there in terms of podcast.
Yes.
Audio, but certainly for a YouTube video, it's just fine.
It's fine. Yeah, it works for YouTube. Anyway, You're getting basically the same treatment here with Oogie Boogie Bash. The fun part is that we actually went to Oogie Boogie Bash 2 nights. Yeah, 2. And I gotta say, I was coerced into this. I did not think that we needed to, I wonder by who. I did not think we needed to spend the money nor the time at 2 Oogie Boogie Bashes. However, they were both very different experiences. And I think if you've thought about this or thought that might be a way to do things, or if you have the extra money or you want to save up and make this like a really big Halloween experience, uh, I don't know if I can go back to just one Oogie Boogie Bash in the future. I mean, obviously, now, obviously, this all depends on if we luck out again and actually get tickets for one, much
Correct.
less two, because this is a super duper hot ticket item. So yeah, we did fall into some luck, and the stars aligned, and we ended up scoring 2 nights worth. But that's not always going to be the case. But I'll give it a try, Jane, because I'll save up for that one, because I did find that it was nice going in knowing that we wanted to do everything. But there's just no way, you guys, there's no way anybody can do everything at all of these parties. There's Even if you're a single person and you're like go 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 kind of person, I just don't see how you can fit every last thing in, because of the sheer volume of what they try to give you as far as experiences and entertainment. And of course, just there's other people there, and you got to deal with the crowds, and sometimes you luck out and sometimes you don't. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, but we actually ended up at Oogie Boogie twice. The first night was a Thursday night. The second night was a Sunday night. The Thursday night was the second party that they did. Sunday, it ended up being the third party that they did. What was the first thing that we were saying between the two nights? Like, this is, I think, one of the biggest tips that we kind of came away with. We're just going to start off with the biggest tip we got and give it to you right off the bat.
We definitely thought Sunday was less crowded than Thursday, which we know it likely was not on paper. But the theory that we came up with was that a lot of the locals that attend may leave after that first parade or so because they work in the morning or the kids have school or whatever it is, because the next day is Monday. Whereas if you come on a Thursday, I don't know about you, but it's like we were saying, it's a whole lot easier to be like, I'll tough out Friday and then I'm at the weekend and I'll just sleep from there, right? So that's much easier than being like, I'm going to stay out till 1 a.m. on, a Sunday and then try to get through the week with less sleep. So that was definitely the biggest takeaway.
And it was noticeable. I mean, we kept kind of looking around and we were like, well, maybe we're just in a different area of the park at the time. But the more we walked around and kind of looked at things, we were like, no, there's definitely fewer people here after that first parade. Before that first parade, it felt pretty much the same. I don't think that it felt any lighter or anything like that. So if you go on a Sunday next year and you say, oh, those girls lied to me, look how crowded this is, maybe just wait. Like, don't judge us until after the first parade. Okay.
Judge us. It's fine. You wouldn't be the first.
Point well taken. Yeah. So that's probably my biggest tip was, I would say that if you have choices and if you're able to do that, probably go on a Sunday or even a Tuesday, but not the first Tuesday, not the first party. I think you should avoid the first party as much as you can at all costs, because I feel like that one has the most hype. That one has the most influencers. That one has the most, bloggers, vloggers, podcasters, like people that want to get in there and really get all the information out to everyone else, like ASAP. We kind of fall into that as well because we knew we wanted to go the first week of the parties, not 2 weeks later. Like, we wanted to be there, but we also knew we did not actually want to be there the first night for that reason. Joke was on us, though. It was kind of funny. Apparently, Disney held off their official media night until the second party night. So there were all of the big influencers were there. We saw Color Me Courtney and she was Barbie, he was Ken. It was so cute.
Adorable.
They were adorable. We saw them. We saw a whole bunch of influencers, all the big names that you guys all follow on Instagram and TikTok. And they were in legit costumes. And when we had walked through Grand California, they had a event check-in and a costuming check-in and whatever. So I think they might have actually gotten some costuming assistants from Disney, or maybe even just a place to put their stuff on. I don't know how it worked out because we weren't invited. But they looked legit. They looked great. So if you see a lot of content from those big influencers, that was the Thursday night that we were there. Also, maybe that factored into it. Maybe because it was the media night, it felt busier all night long. But I'm with you. I feel like people are willing to like blow off a Friday, but not willing to blow off a Monday.
Yeah, and I definitely felt like even with the influencers, because initially I was like, well, maybe that's it. Like maybe with the media and the influencers, it added that much, like that many extra people. But I'm like, there's not that many of them.
No.
Like it's a big enough party.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I do think it's also that like the first party, and I haven't been to a first party, but like I always feel like the first party always has some little kinks to work out.
Yeah.
And especially like one of the things I found was sometimes when you ask questions to cast members, even at the second party, they didn't work the first party, so they don't 100% have all the answers. I mean, they're great at saying like, hey, this is my first party. I'm not 100% sure. Check over here. But some of that does come up where I think they're like getting into their groove and so that, you know, takes another day. So I'm with you where I would say skip the first party at all costs. And I mean, that's what we did in Florida as well. We skipped the first two parties in Florida.
Third party, yeah, we were at the third party.
Yeah. And so I would say that's probably like the sweet spot there for me as well.
Yeah, so that's a tip if you're looking to plan a trip as far as like crowds and whatnot. If you're going specifically for Oogie Boogie, if you can go the second week of parties, I think you're going to be better off. Overall, the Disneyland crowds while we were there, I thought were manageable and was lovely. Like the only line that I saw every single day.
Haunted Mansion Holiday.
No.
Oh.
You know where I'm going with this.
Do I?
The silhouette shop, Jane. What was
for the love of God. For the love of Mickey's silhouettes, y'all.
Y'all. Okay, so this has nothing to do with Disney Halloween or whatever. However, you know me, I go to Disneyland frequently. I mean, obviously not local frequently, but enough that nothing should surprise me anymore. I was surprised. So I showed up at Disneyland a little bit before Jane and the other girls, and I started messaging them going, I don't know what's going on, but this shop has like, there's a line out the door every single day. There is this line and it doesn't go away. It's all day long. There is this line for the silhouette shop, y'all, for the silhouette shop. This is on Main Street. So sure enough, my final day there, I rope dropped it. I had to get up and go and do the silhouette shop because...
Wait.
What?
You're not properly telling this story.
Okay.
Y'all, every single time we walked into Disneyland, she was like, what is the line for the silhouette shop? Let's look at this line for the silhouette shop. And we would go and find out. And there was a line of people outside, but then they would take the people from the outside and they would move them inside, but it's a very small space. So even though there was no line outside, sometimes there was a line inside, right? And this went on for 4 days. 4 days.
The poor server at the Carnation Cafe, I had a whole conversation about the silhouette shop with him, and he was like, okay.
We didn't know this was a thing.
I didn't know it was a thing. I really didn't. And like I said, I feel like I know Disneyland pretty well. So I feel pretty stupid admitting this, like, because all the locals are like, yeah, girl, it's been a thing since 1955. Okay. I never paid attention to it. This trip, I absolutely paid attention to it. And there was always this line of at least like 5 or 6. Again, it's this tiny space, but they line you up outside. And I think they tried to control it by cutting off the line at certain points. And then they'd let it go through and then they would, whatever. Anyway, I wanted to do it so bad, but there was always a line. And then sometimes the line would be cut off when I would walk up and ask about it. And anyway, it was a whole thing. So I rope dropped. My last day there, I rope dropped and I went in to the silhouette shop and I got this adorableness. It's so cute, y'all. Look how cute that is. It says Disneyland. Now, the only thing I messed up is I wish that I had got it framed because they tried to sell me on a frame and I was like, girl, I don't need a frame. I just was doing it for the lols. Like I just, I thought it was a funny thing to do. But now I wish I had a frame because I just think it's so cute. And it's a very Disneyland thing to do, apparently. Like when I would talk to the cast members, they had a whole conversation with me about this and how it's something that's always been at Disneyland. It's always not always been on Main Street, but for the last, I think she said 20 years it's been on Main Street. And yes, I'm not crazy. There's always a line. Apparently this is a thing. And I said, what is the thing? Like, why do people like this weird thing? First of all, it's only $12. In Disney terms, it's practically free, right? I mean, girl math. This is a little souvenir that's like practically free as far as Disney is concerned. But she was like, I think it's nostalgia. She's like, most of the time when people come in and we hear them talking about it, they're like, oh, I remember doing this when I was a kid, and my parents did this for me when I was a kid, and or the grandparents come in and said, yeah, we had all of our kids do this when they were little, so now we want the grandbabies to do it. So that's what I'm hearing. Well, the funny thing is when I came home, and my husband always asks, like, what did you buy? And I'm like, well, this shirt, this sweatshirt, and this silhouette shop cut out. And he starts laughing. He was like, do you know that's the only souvenir my parents bought when they went to Walt Disney World in like 1974, 1975, something like that. It's a silhouette of him and his brother. And he was like, and they did a really good job. It looks like me and David. Like, you can tell which one is which and everything. And he was like so impressed. So it's a thing, y'all. It's a thing. Go to the silhouette shop when you're at Disneyland. And apparently there's one at Disney World, but I need to figure out where that is, because obviously I'm going to need a coast-to-coast silhouette of myself.
Obviously.
So anyway, side note.
I have to say, so I think for all of this, the takeaway here is it doesn't matter how many times you go to Disney, there's always something new for you to discover, even if it isn't exactly new. Like that was my biggest takeaway, was like, and we say it all the time, like there are things here in Florida that I will miss, just because we're not looking up or looking around or taking our time or whatever. Like the pumpkins on Main Street is always like my favorite thing. Like if you're not stopping and really just taking them in, then you don't know. Okay. But yeah, so that is super exciting that you got that. And now it's filled my TikTok feed.
You're welcome.
All the other people out there and their lovely silhouettes. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Everyone who stood in that line.
I am actually going to write up a blog post about it, because I got some information from the cast members that you might find interesting and amusing. And if not, like, you don't have to read it. But if you are into it, I will write it up and link it down below at some point. Or you can just go to my blog, noguiltdisney.com. Okay. Other than the silhouette shop, I felt like, and to Jane's original point, Haunted Mansion Holiday, there really weren't crazy lines at Disneyland this whole entire weekend that we were there. So I think September, people are always saying, like, when's the best time to go? I think September is a pretty decent time to go. I think that kids are back in school. Most people aren't on vacation anymore. So if you're looking for kind of like a low crowd time frame and you are flexible enough that you can pop in and out, this might be a good time to plan a Disneyland vacation for you. The only thing is that you do need to know is that it's Halloween everywhere. So if Halloween is not your thing and you wanted like traditional Disneyland experience, yeah, Jane doesn't compute for her. I understand. But if you really like, if you think that's, then just keep that in mind, that going from September through October is not going to be your jam at Disneyland in particular. And we're going to talk a little bit more between Disney World and Disneyland, how they treat Halloween. So we'll get into that, but back to Oogie Boogie Bash, because that was the whole point of this. Sorry, I got distracted by my silhouette shop experience. I was going to save that for later, but then I was like, oh, it's right here. I'll just show everybody.
I understand.
Okay. I'm glad you get me. Okay. So
I have to believe that the people that watch us because we're chaotic. Because I can't imagine that they would stick around for this long if they did not understand the chaos.
They must like, we might all get each other on some crazy level, because
I think so.
Here we are 3 years later and the numbers keep going up, which is.
So we keep getting new people. So we keep finding new people in this community. And
which
that's,
so
surprising for us, because we were like, who's going to listen to this mess?
pretty much. But thank you for coming to the Hot Mess Express
Yes.
Halloween version. Okay, so Oogie Boogie Bash. That was my biggest tip was if you're looking to plan a trip later, maybe plan for a Tuesday or a Sunday. I just feel like what you will notice is that people leave early on those nights. I also felt like there was fewer kids overall on Sunday night than but for sure after the sun went down and that parade went by, I don't know, it felt very different afterwards. Not bad different, just good different.
Again, we also said it could have been where we were in the park.
Yeah.
And that was another thing. I don't know if that played into it or not. But the pattern that we followed the first night was the same pattern that we followed last year when we went.
Correct.
And when we went on Sunday night, we followed a little bit different pattern because we were less strategic about like making our way around the park, and we were more just trying to hit the things that we wanted to hit. And so that put us in other areas that we weren't necessarily in prior.
The first time. Yeah.
Yeah, no, the first time.
It could literally all be, some cast member who actually knows the scoop is like laughing and going, not even close, ladies. But that's what it felt like. So that's also something to keep in mind is it can feel weird. It can feel different depending on where you are in the park. And someplace that is almost always crowded and felt busy was the Villains Grove. So let's talk about this because as you guys probably all know, I am famously don't have patience for long lines. I just don't like it
at all.
If I can get a lightning lane for it, I'm going to pay for it. Like if they were offering lightning lane, I would have lightning laned Villains Grove. Disney, just add that and I would pay you the extra $15 because I wanted the experience-ish, but it wasn't enough. I didn't want it enough to stand in a long line. And so at the very end of the night, the first one, right, Jane? Correct. I opted to bail out. I was tired. I was done. I was ready to go to bed. So I left probably 15 minutes before the end of the party. Meanwhile, the rest of our group got in line at Villains Grove. And when I walked past this line, for everyone to visualize, Villains Grove is in the Redwood Trail. Is it Redwood? I don't even know what it's called. It was the first time I'd ever been in there. I don't go into that place. Redwood Challenge Course, whatever it's called. That's where this Villains Grove is set up and done. So they queue you up outside of it, and the line went all the way down, almost to Soarin'. So it went past Grand California, all the way down to Soarin', and it was like looped back 3 times. And it was like this all night, people. This is a huge, crazy long line. What's it called?
It is the Redwood Creek Challenge Trail.
I was almost there.
We were
almost there. Okay. So, Redwood Creek Challenge Trail, which I think is going to be Avatar. That's where she does. That's where I kind of got the vibes that they could turn this into a walkthrough of Avatar experience. You know how they said that Avatar is coming to Disneyland? I'm kind of wondering if it's not an actual attraction, like this area could be an easy transformation to an Avatar area, which is fine because I never went there before. I never have to go there again. It'll be fine. That's where I would vote to put it. Anyway, so when we were at the end of the night, as we were walking to get into this line, I just noped out. I saw my exit right there for Grand Californian, and I took it, and I was like, I'm just going back to the hotel. And the other girls all got in line. And you guys said it was really not. It went very quickly at the end of the night.
It does. And I think this is really more so for the whole party. It's just that the line looks much longer than it is. Mm-hmm. So the line, it wasn't looping back at the point that we got on it, but it was all the way down by the big sign right at Soarin' where they have that, like, usually there's the airplane, and there's like a photo pass photographer. So it was all the way down at that point, and it was in 10 minutes we were in there. So, and what we noticed was after we had gone through it and we came out, we were out of Villains Grove at 11:08. Mm-hmm. And at that point, the line was very short outside. And so I was like, well, that makes sense because they cut it off at 11. But you could see that even when they cut it off at 11, with how long it was from where we were, it was no longer than 10 minutes, right? Because it was 8 minutes is when we came out, and there was only a handful of people to get through. So it is able to get a lot of people through.
Definitely. Yeah.
Because like people, it's not a ride. So you're walking through it and people aren't like hanging out. Like it's very dark, very difficult for photos.
Through. Right. You're moving through. You're not like just chilling and hanging in the Villains Grove, at least for the most part. We didn't see any of that.
Right. Right. And it doesn't open until dark. So that is the, that's the challenge with it, is that it's, even though the party starts at 6:00, that doesn't open until it's dark out, because it needs to be dark enough to be spooky and cool and whatever. But because of that, and because of the lighting, it does make it difficult to take photos in there, not necessarily of the surroundings. Like I was able to take video of what was going on and take a selfie and whatever, but it doesn't give good lighting. So, and I say this because it's not going to give a lot of people like, and I'm that person too, where I would be like, oh, hey, let's stand here for 5 minutes and take a great, cool photo. There's not really a lot of opportunities to do that because the lighting is really pretty terrible. But that works out because it keeps everybody moving and everybody's like, oh, this is fun, but everybody sort of keeps moving through it. So we skipped it last year because we saw the line and we were like, absolutely not. That's a huge nope. And I was really glad that we did it this year. Like I came back and I was like, Patty, it was actually really cool. But what did I say? I said, I thought it was really cool. I thought it was a great addition to the party. You will absolutely hate it. It was only 10 minutes, but this is not for you. And I don't think you ever need to do this.
But I did it.
You did.
So,
but I wasn't wrong.
Well, yeah, okay. Hate is a strong word. I didn't hate it. What I would have hated, we came across it at a time. It was the middle of the second parade, and it was a much shorter line. I mean, it was something that when I walked up, I didn't immediately go, nope. I still said, God, it's still a long line, but it was moving quickly. So we went ahead and went in, and I went ahead and went in just because I was like, this is like my fourth Oogie Boogie Bash, and I haven't actually been in Villains Grove because the lines are so long all the time. It never goes down. Well, that's also big tip number 2 that you can like write on your list. If you want to do Villains Grove, go during a parade. I think either parade, you can probably get your fastest line through. But I think the second parade on a Sunday night, because of our experience, it really was nothing. I mean, we were in and out of that thing, maybe a total of 10 minutes. Like that included standing in the line and then going through it all and walking through. I still stand by my point, which is, like I would have been angry if I wasted 30 or 35 minutes standing in line to go through this, because the payoff for me wasn't there, meaning there's no candy, there's no characters. It is a fog and light show. It's some fun music. It is probably the creepiest, scariest, like vibey feeling experience that you'll have at parties at either coast. I think this is the most spooky feel that you're gonna get. So from that aspect, I didn't hate it. I liked the villains that they had in there. Like Dr. Facilier was one of the villains that they did, and since he wasn't didn't have a treat trail this year, that was kind of cool. Just yes, total downvote on that, because he is the best character. He's so good on a treat trail, guys.
He's so funny.
He's so funny. But he's not in there. He was just represented, by a section that was but it felt but I think that that felt like that was a good choice. Like he was a good choice to be in there because it just vibed with like the whole voodoo man kind of thing. So yeah, it's a cool-ish experience. I'm just not going to tell you that it's worth 35 minutes of your time. I'm still going to say if you have to cut something out, unless you are really big on haunted houses, haunted trails, that kind of thing, then you might think it's totally worth it and the best thing you've ever done. I've seen a lot of comments online where people are like, I'm so glad we did this. My kid loved it so much. Blah, 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 blah. I just trying to like look at the timing of everything is not something I'm going to spend 35 minutes doing. I'm much more likely to spend 35 minutes waiting for a parade than I am going through Villains Grove, which again, if you know me, I don't wait for parades. I don't like parades like that either. So but that's where I would put my time. That's where I would spend my time. So yeah, Jane wasn't wrong. It was cool, but it's not something I think I will need to do again unless there's some big shakeup or some big change. However, walking through there, the visuals and everything, I was like, I could see how they might do something with Pandora in here. Particularly how Pandora in Disney World like has all the glow in the dark splatter paint.
The bioluminescence thing.
I feel like they could do a lot of that. Like I was pointing out stuff that was glowing and whatever. And I was like, I could see them doing something like that with Pandora in here, but we'll see. We don't know yet what they're going to do with Avatar. Just we know they've told us it's coming. Anywho, so that was Villains Grove. My third like takeaway is I also think that if riding rides is something you really want to do at Disney California Adventure, I felt like the traditional conversation is get in as soon as you can, get in when the gates open at 3 and ride rides right away because none of the other stuff with the party is happening. While I can say that that's somewhat true, you're also mixing in with all those day guests who haven't been kicked out yet. So your lines for rides, you're going to walk up to Guardians of the Galaxy and have a 35, 40-minute wait. That's just going to happen during this time frame. My vote would be to tell you to do some other things from 3 to 6, maybe eat. Go ahead and get your food.
Eat is a big one. Eat beforehand.
Yeah, eat beforehand. Eat before the party actually kicks off. Eat. See if the shopping. We didn't really do any party specific shopping, but my understanding is they changed things up, and I think the party specific stuff you could only buy if you had a wristband on. So while it was out between 3 and 6, like you had to have your wristband on, or otherwise they weren't going to sell it to you. So do your shopping, do your eating, get a locker if you think you're going to need to change out of your costume later or want a sweatshirt. Do those kinds of things between the 3 and 6. And then at 6, be prepared to hit character trails or character photos, depending on, what it is that you prioritize or what you need. You can get into some of those character photo lines ahead of time, which is what we did with the Sanderson sisters. On our second night, we went ahead and jumped in line for Oogie Boogie Treat Trail the first night before the 6 o'clock start. And then the second night, we got in line for the Sanderson sisters before the 6 o'clock start. But we also made sure to get something to eat. And then I would, and you know me, I love rides. I absolutely love rides, but I love a short line ride. And so my vote is to wait until after, wait until like the second parade starts and then go start your rides. Like if you're looking for a timing, if people are watching that second parade and some people have already gone home because it's at the end of the night, you'll have at least an hour and a half of walk-ons everywhere. And Disney California Adventure, I don't think has so many rides that you couldn't get most of them done, at least the biggies. You could absolutely get Guardians done, Radiator Springs Racers, and Incredicoaster done, I think, within an hour easily if you save that for the towards the end of the night. You're going to walk on to pretty much everything. Just boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would say that that's probably an option, but I will also say that the only one that I noticed was Web Slingers was 5 minutes and had absolutely no one in that line when we walked through the campus. But I am traditionally not a rides person during parties because I want to do the party specific things and I can ride rides any other time of day. Now, of course, if you're going and this is your shot to do DCA, that's a whole other story. That's just not how I travel. The one thing I will say, though, is that Guardians is the Monsters After Dark version. And this Monsters Guardians After Dark version does run every day at the park after 3 p.m. So that's just another thing, is that even though there's things at the party that are available, some of those things are available outside of the party. And that, I think, is the big overall difference between Disneyland and Walt Disney World as a whole, is how much Halloween you're able to get outside of the prepaid ticket event.
You're jumping ahead. Well,
I'm trying to move this along. I'm like, we're 35 minutes in, girl. Like, I got things to do.
I'm getting there. I've got like one more like comment to make. And that is...
and we haven't hit a bunch of the other things on this party.
Okay, one other comment on this party is I think characters, if characters are your biggie, what I am reading and what I am seeing, we didn't notice it because we hit all of our character must-dos at the beginning of the night. Like that was our priority, was the character treat trails and even standing in line for like the Sanderson sisters, like that sort of thing. But some characters, they cut off, they leave at 10:30. So when we walked by Madame Mim, though, she was still out till the very last minutes of the party on our way out. Because remember, one of the girls was like, I want to see Madame Mim one more time. And I said, she may be gone. But when we walked by, she was still there. So we popped in and we saw Madame Mim like at 10:45 or whatever before we went over to Villains Grove. So
I think it has to do with the location of the character, because that 10:05 or 10:10, their parade times are very weird. They're not like on the hour, which is, or the half hour where we're used to that in Florida. So their times are like 7:50 and I think it's 10:10, I think is the other one. But I think it has to do with where the parade is in the park and whether they pull those characters. Because what they don't want to do is have the parade. The parade will end at the front of the park. So it comes from the back by over on the pier, back by like Goofy Sky School. So it'll come from there. It goes towards the front of the park, and then it goes down through Hollywood Land or whatever we're calling that road. But it does end in the front of the park. So it takes some time to get up there. And I think they pull possibly some of the stuff that's over there just because they don't want people to see the end of the parade and then pool in that area.
I think you're right. I know Oogie Boogie was cut off at 10:30. Like
and that makes sense.
Packs himself up and goes, and that's right at the end of the parade route. It's also an indoor location. So it could be another case where they're like, we want to shut this building and clean it out, and whatever. And so the fewer, like you could still probably candy treat trail. They know you're not going to hang around there if there's no Oogie Boogie show going on. If Oogie Boogie's not talking, you're going to get your candy and leave. You're not going to just like chill in there. But if Oogie Boogie's talking to you, like a lot of us like stood there and listened to him because he's hilarious. And it was a lot of fun. So that's something else just to put out there, is that if characters are your thing, just sometimes they will be out till the very end of the night, but not always. So keep that in mind as you're planning this. Like waiting until the last minute to jump into a character line may not be the move. Always ask and see if a cast member will kind of give you an idea as to when things are, if you do want to know that. Sometimes they'll tell you, sometimes they won't. Sometimes they have to protect the magic. And so they don't say everything that we want them to say all the time. But you can certainly ask and see if they'll give you an idea before you're making a plan. Okay, what else do you want to say about Oogie Boogie?
So for those of you who haven't been before, the way that they do the treat trails, I'm a big candy person. I like to go and get my 15 pounds of candy, although I didn't. I only got 6, but that's another conversation. I like to go and get all my candy here. Yes, we waited. We did, all of us in the rooms. That's what we do. So we do love to hit the candy trails. The candy trails at Disneyland are filled with characters, which is wonderful. It is the villains' characters, but they are not there to take photos with you. So when we talk about character photos, there's dedicated characters for photos, which are the Sanderson sisters. It's like Minnie, Clarabelle, and Daisy as the Sanderson sisters. There's the Cars Land characters. There's there was a couple of them up front. There's Lotso in the back. There was
Mickey Kingdom of Hearts, like Mickey, Donald, and Goofy, I think. Yep. Yeah. So there's actual characters you can get in line to take a photo with. Correct. But then there's character treat trails where you're moving on through. And you might get, you might be able to grab a selfie with them in the background, but they're not going to stop and be like cheese with you.
No. I mean, they will, and they will play a little bit. Like we did the Cruella line, and Patty was dressed as Cruella, and she made a point to, walk to make sure she was in the photos that we were taking with Patty. So, I mean, these characters, honestly, they are phenomenal. Like every single cast member that plays a villain at this party is top tier. And so if any of you are them or know them or friends with them or any of those good stuff, please, hats off. We absolutely love all of them.
They were amazing. Every single last one of them was amazing.
Amazing. So that's the difference there. With candy, the treat trails are longer than Disney World. Mm-hmm. So in Disney World, you'll get 2 or 3 buckets maybe at a location. Sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's 2 little stops, and there's no characters, right? So you're just mostly moving through, getting your candy in big scoops, which Patty is a huge fan of. In Oogie Boogie Bash, when you do a treat trail, it's usually like 4 or 5 stops along that trail.
Correct.
With your character up wherever doing whatever shtick they're doing.
Right.
And you may get less treats at each one, but I still think it evens out. Now, we did have within our group, some of the other girls were like, absolutely not. You get more candy at Disney World, which could be true. I honestly didn't weigh my Disney World candy when I came home.
You probably get more candy.
Correct.
At Disney World, because there's a big difference between Disneyland's treats and Disney World's treats.
Correct. So Disney World gives out Mars sponsored candy. So It's M&M's, Snickers, Milky Way, Three Musketeers, Skittles, Starburst, right? So there's like this conglomerate. And then they always give out whatever like the new flavor of M&Ms are. Mm-hmm. They always give you like 900 of them. So when on these parties, we went home with 9,000 pounds of M&M brownie and M&M coffee cold brew, maybe? I don't know.
Which are not
All I know is they're trash. All of them are trash.
Good. They're not good.
And I have 2 huge bags for my friend Heather, who is a teacher, and she, gives the snacks to the kids in school. So I was like, well, I'm saving these because kids will eat anything because they're just like, yay, it's candy and sugar and it's M&Ms. Wonderful, fabulous. I am not cut out for that life. Take my garbage candy. So that is the candy. So in Disneyland, you get that same assortment of candy, mm-hmm. but there are also stops with apple slices, which we love. Not because we are, healthy or pictures of fruit eating wonderful human beings. No, we're not at all. But when you are hot and they will hand you a cold apple slice, you're like, man, this hits the spot.
Listen, we were ripping the first bag of apple slices we got. Jane and I are both like housing it in the middle of the line because it really was a very warm night, and those apple slices were from heaven.
They hit the spot. There are no frozen grapes that we had last year, and so if we could petition for anything, it would be to bring the frozen grapes back.
The frozen grapes were just perfection. But yeah, we did not get any frozen grapes this year. We did get, however, we got the apple slices. We also got carrots, which I was the only one that took the carrots. Nobody else in my group, they like literally.
No, that was an absolute rock. That was, I got a rock. And there's goldfish crackers, mm-hmm. Which are regular goldfish crackers, but they're also Mickey shaped. I love them. Everybody else hated them because they're whole grain and wonderful. I loved them. And then also goldfish cracker, graham cracker cookies.
Correct.
I also loved those.
What we're saying is Disneyland has a little bit more variety, which may or may not make you happy. You might be like rock, like what, skipping all of those. Or you might be like, cool, something to put in my kids' lunch for the next 2 months, because you will, I have almost an entire bag full of goldfish crackers and the graham crackers,
Cookies.
the cookies. That I'm just like, hey, Lucy, add these to your lunch this week, and she's like, cool. So she's so excited about that, and I'm like, thanks, Disneyland. So yeah, you get a little bit different. Disney World does not do that. Disney World is just like strictly
straight candy,
except for the one treat trail that we had that had like kind bars, but they weren't. At least my kind bar was like all crumbled up, so it was like kind granola. I don't know what was going on there, but I got one of those from one stop. Mm-hmm. Outside of that, it was all candy. So that's something like a big difference that you might want to just be aware of on how you feel about that when you come. And you can definitely tell the Disneylanders like, no thanks, if you just don't want that stuff. If you know it's going to be thrown away, if you know it's going to be a waste, like don't, just tell them no. But we're going to tell you like to go ahead and take those apples, because you might be surprised at how great an apple just hits the spot at certain points during your Disney vacation. Yeah, I ate all my apples. I ate every single one that I got over the course of that weekend.
Every time they handed me one, I ate it. And then like, it was just like the thing that I ate immediately. Like mm-hmm. I did not eat the candy necessarily. It was definitely the apples, which I mean, like I'm not like some super picture of health that I'm like, oh my God,
heck no.
I must have my apples.
No.
I'm more of a, could you hand me a churro with a dip person than I am an apple person. But yeah, the apples definitely hit the spot. So that is on candy. The other thing I would say is parade, right? Mm-hmm. So
big difference.
Big difference between Oogie Boogie and Mickey's Not So Scary out here in Florida. The Boo to You parade at Mickey's Not So Scary is my absolute favorite parade, with the exception of Paint the Night, which is a whole other 45-minute episode, but that is not a holiday thing, nor is it around today.
So Boo to You comes in number 3 for me. I'm giving Paint the Night
Magic Happens. I forget Magic Happens.
Very closely by Magic Happens. I mean, like those two, and honestly, this may be a love the one you're with kind of situation and no, I don't do parades. I don't even do parades.
She doesn't. But
these are the 3 parades I will sit and pay attention to and dance along all 3 of these parades. To your point, frightfully fun. It's cute. It's fine. It's short.
Super cute.
It's
small.
It's small.
And that's the thing, is that their floats are not as big as Florida's. And some of that could simply, no, the floats are definitely not necessarily as big. Some of them are. And the scale, I think, is a little different. Like I almost think like in the way the parade route goes in Walt Disney World, like the buildings and everything and the way that things are positioned makes it a little bit smaller. Whereas when you're coming through DCA, it's a little more open. There's a lot more like taller buildings. So things tend to look smaller. So just the visual aspect of it is a little underwhelming.
They're also very spaced out. I felt like between the floats, they spaced them out a lot more than they do at Disney World. And if that's because of the transition of like the music or the new theme of the new section that's coming through, or if it's just we have more space to do it here than you do in Florida. I don't know what the answer is, but they did, or they were just trying to make it look longer. And so they want this parade to last a little bit longer so that people are sitting. Yeah. I don't think it's done not on purpose. Like I think it's definitely a purposefully like chosen way of doing things. But it was something I noticed because I was trying to videotape it. How old am I? I was trying to record it.
I had my big video recorder on my shoulder.
Seriously.
It wasn't at all my tiny computer that is glued to my hand.
Correct. Nope, not this at all. Anywho, yeah. So, it's much smaller. This one I like, but I will absolutely give Disney World, like, Boo to You is top tier. Again, top 3. Like,
yeah.
Patty doesn't sit and watch parades, but Patty will watch Boo to You every year that I could. Love it.
Yeah. So I would say that for the most part covers Oogie Boogie Bash and things that are party specific. But Halloween
In general, this is just Disney Halloween.
Overall vibe.
So here's my question. I have a question for you, Jane. At Disney World.
She knows the answer.
How many parks? Well, you never ask a question that you don't know the answer for already. Lawyer 101. I got this from Suits, okay? You
on the list.
Get on it. Get over your Meghan Markle hate and watch Suits.
It's not that I just literally do not have time.
I get it. Okay, so Walt Disney World. How many parks can you see Halloween in at Walt Disney World?
0.2. 0.2. It's not even a whole park. Okay. It's only at Magic Kingdom. And it's not even the whole park.
It's Main Street. That's it, right? That's what we get.
That's it.
Okay.
You get Main Street in the hub.
Okay. Point taken. So if you are a big Halloween person, you're like, I've always dreamed of a Disney Halloween, and you're trying to decide, this is what we're trying to give you is some information on if you have the option to go to either coast, where to spend your most Disney Halloween dollars could be influenced by this very important conversation that we are about to have with you. Okay, so 0.2% of Walt Disney World parks celebrate Halloween. I have a suggestion for how we could change that we'll get to that in just a moment, but that's it. Now, Disneyland, same question. How many parks celebrate Halloween at Disneyland?
Two of two parks. So 100% of the parks celebrate Halloween. And all the time.
All the time. It's not gate kept. This isn't behind a private party or an extra, anything. If you like Halloween and you want some cool, spooky, fun pictures, experiences or whatever, honestly, like decorations wise, experience wise, we feel like you're going to get your bang for your buck by going to Disneyland over Walt Disney World from a Halloween only experience. So examples of things that you can get at Disneyland Halloween that are not gate kept, meaning they are not behind the pay to play experience that you get like you do at Walt Disney World during the Mickey's Not So Scary Party. There you go. Like, it's just my favorite picture.
It's the best. It's just so good.
I love that pumpkin so much. It's absolutely ridiculous. I think I took at least one picture every single day with that pumpkin. So I have like a whole reel of pumpkin pictures on Instagram if you want to see them, because he's just adorable. And they don't have that at Disney World. They have like two little small pumpkins. It's just not impressive. That pumpkin, he's my favorite guy. We need to name him.
He has two faces.
He does.
You get two different photos.
Yes, two different photos. Like there's a winky guy on one side and a smiley guy on the other side.
There's the regular guy, which is there. You guys can see my ring light too. I'm here with all the tips and tricks. And then where's the winky one? Oh, and then here's the winky one. See, winks them on the other side. So
cute. And so that's also a nice tip is the way they did it this year is when you walked up, this one always had a line too to take a picture with the pumpkin. But what they did is you took it on one side and then they had you go around to the other side. So you only stood in line once, but you got both sides of the pumpkin. And there were times of the day where one side absolutely was a better picture than the other. Like here's our
better lighting. Yeah,
better lighting. Here's our little winky face one of the two of us together. So yes. Sometimes they were just better. Look, I have like 5 versions of this from our recent trip.
In all different, like every photo we took, they were like, be scary. And we were like, this is all we have.
This is what you get. Here's me doing it one more time. But so yeah, absolutely. We love the pumpkin. So that's like 0.1 in Disney World or Disneyland's favor. Main Street pumpkins, just like they have at Disney World, you get Main Street Pumpkin Festival. So you can see all kinds of fun pumpkins up there. And I have some information about that. If you're curious what they have, like there's an Elvis pumpkin that you can find. So there's some cute, You didn't see
It's
Elvis?
cute.
Yeah,
No.
I'll send it to you. Anyway, there's some cute pumpkins all along Main Street, just like that. But a lot of the park is decorated with this, including Haunted Mansion. It's Haunted Mansion Holiday, which is a Tim Burton Nightmare Before Christmas, which obviously is Christmas / Halloween combo thing going on. And it's super popular, and it opens up every year, like the beginning of September, end of August, beginning of September, and it runs through until the beginning of January. So that one, everybody can experience and ride if you're at Disneyland. There was, we were doing a fireworks experience, which, by the way, how were those fireworks?
They're so good.
And they were part of your Disneyland experience, weren't they?
They were. They're part of your daily Disneyland experience. Well, maybe not so much daily.
Weekend.
They're part of your weekend Disneyland experience.
Correct.
But yeah, that's, fireworks in Florida on the regular days, on non-party days, you're getting happily ever after. And then on party days, you will get, what do we have now? I don't even know what it's called now. It's not Hallowishes anymore. It's whatever the Halloween fireworks are. But that is party exclusive. So
spectacular, something spectacular.
Maybe Halloween spooked Oogie. I don't know. It's similar to the show out here. Out here. I pretend I live in California now. I'm fairly certain I've spent more time in the California parks this year than I have in Florida.
Yeah, 100% you have, and you still don't have a magic key. Anyway,
yet.
So,
anywho, the fireworks are available at Disneyland on the weekends, Friday to Sunday, and that is part of the daily ticket price. In addition,
it's called Disney's Not So Spooky Spectacular.
It sure is not so spooky
at Disney World. Yes. So at Disneyland, during the summer, they'll do fireworks every single day. But then after that, I think it's an agreement with like the neighbors, the neighborhoods in Anaheim to not have fireworks every single night. So they only do them on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday during like the off-peak hours. So that's something to know and something to pay attention to if fireworks are important to you when you're planning your Disney Halloween trip from September, October, and on, is just to know that you're not going to get fireworks. However, they will give you the projection show that goes along with the fireworks during the other nights. So you still do have a nighttime spectacular. You're just not going to get fireworks up in the sky. Which I'm a fireworks person. I don't care as much about the other part, but I actually got to do both. I saw one spectacular without the fireworks and then one with the fireworks, because it was included with my Disneyland ticket, which again, at Disney World, you only get Halloween flavored fireworks if you're paying that extra price ticket for the party. So that's something that's a big, big difference and to keep in mind if you're trying to decide what's worth it to you. We also noticed there was this super cute dance party going on over at Tomorrowland that was also a Halloween themed deal. I'm trying to remember who all was there. Heather and I went over and checked it out. Obviously, I can't remember who. I want to say Clarabelle might have been one of the characters that was dancing, but it was all Halloween themed. And these kids were out dance party or whatever. And again, this is on a non-party situation night. Like you don't have to, pay that extra money to have that kind of fun experience with your kids, for your kids, or for yourself. Like there were some adults out there getting down too. It was super, super cute. The other thing, I know it was Evil Queen, and it was that was my next. We're going to the next one at Disneyland. You can get Halloween costumed characters all day long. Like they were out all day, pretty much, Jane, weren't they?
Yeah, they definitely. We found that in the morning, so right around rope drop hour, they're just nonstop, constant. And even if the characters went off stage, they came right back out within a minute or two. I do know that in the afternoon time, when they rotate at that time, party. Super cute.
Yeah, it was very cute.
When they rotate in the afternoon and sort of evening-ish hour, they rotate and take longer breaks. So you might get 2 or 3 characters. Let's say you get Minnie, Goofy, and Donald come out. And then when they go on their break, it can be 15 or 20 minutes. And then when the next group that comes out might be Mickey, the monks, and Pluto, right? And then when they go off, it'll still be another 15, 20 minutes. No, in the morning, it's like Mickey's out and then he'll go take a break for 2.5 minutes and then Mickey comes back out. And Minnie, and you get all of them. It's Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, the Donald, the monks, Pluto, Goofy, everybody.
Clarabelle.
So, oh yeah, Clarabelle. No Daisy though. I did not see Daisy.
I didn't see Daisy the whole time. Yeah, and I was there for like 5 days. We love Daisy.
Love her. She's sassy.
She is super cute.
So that is one of my favorite things there is how their characters are. They're usually costumes. Like even if it's not Halloween, the characters that we got like last time when I went, they were in their 100th outfits. So they're usually like a little bit more special. And so I love them. I absolutely take pictures with them every single time because I'm a Disney adult and I am not afraid to say that out loud. Yes, I am a 46-year-old woman that takes pictures with people in costumes.
And we love every single one of them.
Love it. Love it. Every single one.
Every single one of them. There was, so haunted characters and costumes. Oh, the other thing is Cars Land. Can we talk about Cars Land?
Oh my God, I love Cars Land
so much. I know you do. So
I love it so much. Hold on, let me find those.
Okay, find those pictures. So Cars Land got it's decorated for Halloween. Again, it's called Halloween, Haul, Halloween. And they decorate it again starting like end of August, beginning of September every year. So everything, it kind of has like a spooky little vibe going on. They have a special shaboom that they do every night that is now like Halloween themed. And if you don't know what shaboom is, they play that song. They start playing that song, but they play that song every night in normal times. And all of the fluorescent lights come on up the street. It's like right at dusk that it happens, and they play the song, and then you watch as all the lights come on at the street. And it's really kind of just a cool experience. And everybody stops and is out there like in the middle of the street watching all the lights come on. Sounds lame, but trust me, like when you're in the moment, it's pretty cool. Well, they do the same thing during Halloween, except that they Halloweenized it to like, there's a whole discussion about it turning into a Halloween town or something during this time. I don't know. When it started, I was just like, what is happening? Because I wasn't expecting it. So that was, again, something like new. I've been to Disneyland Halloween so many times, but I've never been in the right place at the right time for Shaboom to come on. And I was so excited when that happened. So that's really, really cute. And I think, Jane, did you find pictures?
Yeah, I'm scrolling because I had because I didn't
have
a
bunch
of
characters.
Of them.
There's a bunch of characters too. The characters are in costume, and that's not just for Oogie Boogie Bash. Like, again, this is what this section of the conversation is. Is this is stuff you can do without paying for Oogie Boogie Bash? Look so how cute they are.
Yeah, like here's whatever her name was. I forgot what her name is. Cruz is in a pirate's costume.
Yep.
And then where's Mater? Because this one, I forget what this one is, but this one is a Sugar Skull.
Sugar Skull. This one is the main building, and it's, you can't really tell in my picture. Well, you know what?
It's spooky.
Listen.
I know. Here's Mater, and Mater's dressed like a vampire. It's the cutest.
I will add everything. I will add some extra pictures to the blog post that's going to accompany this. So if you guys are watching and or listening and you want to see these pictures, come to noguiltdisney.com, find this blog post, and we'll attach some of these pictures. Now, again, Cars Land, completely open to anybody and everybody. These are not, gate kept by Oogie Boogie. Same thing that Jane mentioned earlier with Guardians of the Galaxy, the Monsters version of that ride at 3:00 every day. It switches over to the Monsters After Dark version. So one day we rode regular Guardians in the morning, and then we turned around and we rode Monsters After Dark after 3:00. So we got both versions in the same day. And that was not on a party night. That was on just a regular day. So that's something that, you get. And there's a haunted, not a haunted, there's a headless horseman statue at DCA that actually has some sound effects and stuff, but you can go there and you can take pictures, including magic shots, like with a flaming pumpkin head. And I think during the party, I think they have like an Oogie Boogie that is in, like, you act like you're scared and Oogie Boogie standing there. But I think that was just a party. But I'm pretty sure the flaming pumpkin you can get at any time, because I feel like I got my flaming pumpkin shot there on a non-party night. In fact, I know it was.
So I do want to talk a little bit about the photo pass that comes with Oogie Boogie Bash.
Oh, yeah.
So Oogie Boogie Bash includes your photos and your photo pass. It comes on your wristband. It has a QR code. You scan it. It goes into your Disneyland app, and it allows for your photos. Now, any of the Oogie Boogie special shots that they have are not available till after 6 p.m. So like, we had entered the party one night. It was about 5:45. We went to take pictures by that headless horseman, and she was like, well, I can't give you any of the party shots till 6:00. At that point, we were like, we don't care. We just want pictures of our cute outfits, because we were the villains and we were adorable. So we took them anyway, but the pictures themselves were available as soon as we scanned that.
Yes.
What I also found was, once I scanned that party ticket, and I don't know if this is a loophole or magic just for me, but it was 2 days that it worked, was as soon as I scanned that, it opened up all of my PhotoPass photos from earlier in the day, even when I was over at Disneyland. So if you're going for maybe one day and you're buying a ticket, and if you're not going to buy Genie, because their Genie includes PhotoPass, then your Oogie Boogie Pass, once you scan that QR code, will probably open your photos for that day. So that was a pretty cool tip. And comparing that to Florida, Florida does not include your photos at all. So if you want them, you have to pay for them. And I will say the other difference is Mickey's Not So Scary has tons of magic shots. Tons. That is what they are good at. They are great at magic shots. This party did not have as many magic shots. They had more characters to take photos with. Florida has some characters, but not tons of characters. Florida also has Jack and Sally, which is party specific and takes 5 ever to meet. And Disneyland has Jack and Sally every day.
And that line never got crazy. I mean, we saw a couple times where it had a few switchbacks or whatever, but it was in a contained small area. It's not Disney World's level, is what we're saying. Like, the Disney World Jack and Sally line, people are reporting 4 to 5 hours. Like, their entire party was spent standing in line to take this picture of Jack and Sally, which, cool. Like, it's cool. But if you want Jack and Sally, if you want Nightmare Before Elm Street,
then Universal is for you.
Don't go to Disneyland. If you want the Nightmare Before Christmas, if that is your jam, then Disneyland is the easy answer. Because to Jane's point, we got great interaction also with Jack. Sally wasn't there that morning, but we got a great interaction with Jack. He had this whole conversation with Jane. I think he's going to be her for Halloween this year, so you guys might want to watch for that. We'll have to see how his costume turns out.
He asked me if I was going to be him for Halloween, and I told him as long as he would dress as me for Halloween.
He was so good. But yeah, that's another like win in the Disneyland column, is that if that's your guy, if that's who you want, and you don't want to waste hours and pay a party ticket, because this is part of just Disneyland experience, Jack and Sally are there. They're over in New Orleans Square, which, by the way, is the best square, the best land of all the lands. outside of Cars Land. I really do like Cars Land, but I love New Orleans Square. Love. I know campus. I know campus is going to get there. Campus, I can spend hours in easily. I love all the characters in campus. Maybe when we get that extra attraction over there, it might change things. But I love the vibe of New Orleans Square, like 1,100%. And Tiana's new restaurant just like cements it. It makes it so good. I think Tiana's Bayou Adventure is just it's gonna make that whole area just pop and come alive. I can't wait. I think it's gonna be great.
I can't wait for everybody to go there and leave my campus.
Well, they will. So don't worry about that. Don't worry. There was always going to be room at the campus for you, Jane. I think they have a bar stool with your name on it.
Guys, they added new tables. That was like such an exciting thing I was like, oh my God, there's new tables here. And that's the level of human that you're dealing with, is that I'm excited about tables and chairs so that I can just sit there and people watch in my campus with my soundtrack.
But listen, like if you haven't done that and you're any sort of a Marvel fan at all, highly recommend. Highly recommend. That is the place to people watch, and that is the place to character watch, because they just stream out of that building like all day long, and you see all of them. It's so cool.
I'm a big fan of the 3 to 5 hour because I believe 4 o'clock is the character changeover. So if you're there between like 3 and 5, you get the earlier characters, and they change. You get the evening characters, and it's just the whole thing.
And that has zero to do with Disney Halloween, but it's an extra tip.
Nothing. But you have to talk about the campus. You can't go and not talk about the campus.
Fair.
I did want to mention with Jack and Sally that Jack and Sally do meet together, but Sally was unavailable when we were there. So you're not necessarily going to get both. You could get one or the other. And they start greeting 11-ish because we waited a little bit before. We started queuing up at like, I don't know, it was like 10:30 or something.
Yeah.
And we were like first or second in line. But we were told by one person 11, somebody else said 11:15, somebody else said 11:30. So I think there's sort of a gray area there. But I would say if you can, if that's important to you and that's priority, then definitely hop over, grab a spot in that line and just wait and get in right away to see Jack and Sally. It's pretty good.
Totally agree. Okay. Anything else we want to wrap up when it comes to Disney Halloween in general? Oh, all right, Josh, this is for you. I know you have waited this entire episode to hear how I think you should plus Walt Disney World Halloween next year.
I think you need to explain to the people who may not know who Josh is and why we're talking to him.
Josh Tomorrow, who is in charge of like all the parks, right? And
we like to pretend that he listens to our podcast.
Pretend? What are you talking about? Josh, Bob, I know you guys are just chilling, listening to No Guilt Disney, and just like in your free time, not handling the strike. Do that first. But second, start putting these plans in place for next year. So this is my vision. As I was complaining to myself, as one does, because I do think about Disney like way too much, that Disney World just really only...
Our Roman Empire.
It is our Roman Empire. That and Tom Holland doing the umbrella. Like
I watched it 3 times this morning. It came up on my TikTok page and I watched it again. I've seen this 175 times. I cannot stop watching it. That is my Roman Empire.
That is the Roman Empire. Okay. I mean, let's be honest. It's Tom and Zendaya.
Oh my God. I love them so much.
I love my little newlyweds because they're married. In my head. Okay. All right. So back to Josh and Bob, who are like going, what are these crazy women talking about? Listen, this is what I was thinking. Disney World needs more Halloween representation. And as much as Jane has convinced me, and I am now a believer in Hollywood studios having superior Christmas decorations, right? Let's picture a park. Let's envision a park, if we will, that has a lot of like retro, fun, cool Halloween decorations as well. Because we are a little bit wrong. Earlier, I said that no other park has any kind of Halloween presence, and that's not true. There is the Hollywood and Vine character meal that we went and did, and they do Halloween characters. So guys, you're already thinking along these lines. Like, this is the next park that we should Halloweenize. Okay, so picture, if you will, first of all, instead of Santa Gertie with the Santa hat, let's put a witch hat on Gertie, right? Or something super cute. Oh my gosh, Gertie with like a sheet over its head with the eyes cut out like it's a ghost. Like, how precious would that be? I'm just saying, like, you have some options, right? I love that. Theresa, thought about you. Okay, so we just think that there's some fun ways that you could definitely put some Halloween vibes into Hollywood Studios. You've got the Tower of Terror, like, just begging to like really be played up and to be played with over there from a Halloween perspective. So like, there's things I think that we could do. I do think there's things that we could do pretty easily and make it a lot of fun. But the big thing that I want to see happen is the Star Cruiser, which I believe is on its final voyage or just finished its final voyage or is finishing up this week. It's something like that. Like, it's closing down.
So basically it's over.
It's over. It's over, right? We're not doing that anymore. However, we have this building. We have this area literally right outside of this park that is just going to be sitting empty. So if you don't have plans for it just yet, this is what I'm suggesting your plan could be next year from August to October, is let's turn the Star Cruiser into a scary, but not too scary, haunted house of sorts. Some kind of walkthrough, some kind of scare factor. Listen, all you Universal people that are like, we have that down the road and it's way better. I agree. Like, I don't want that exactly. I want that on like a little bit tamer level, because obviously it's Disney. We also just don't own as many properties. However, I did like doing some research on this. Did you know that Disney has the rights to Scream? So you could put Ghostface out there.
I was just going to say, oh my God, that Ghostface bag that I bought for Megan.
Right. Look at that. Like, it's perfect. Anyway, so I'm just saying, like, if you really think about it, that could be a fun use of that space if they don't already have plans for it, which they probably do. But say they don't, if you turned that area into some kind of a haunt, some kind of an experience, you still shuttle people from whichever point of exit of Hollywood Studios, like they had take the shuttle back and forth from Galaxy's Edge. Maybe we don't go in and out of Galaxy's Edge. Maybe we find a different exit point, but you shuttle people on like a haunted hayride of sorts or whatever, right? You could even do the ghost of the Halcyon captain as your driver.
That stings.
I know, ouch, a little bit, but yeah, I'm just putting stuff out there. Just
I mean, they could make it like more similar to even Villains Grove, where it's not super interactive, but it just has like a little something. And like, I've never been on the Star Cruiser, so I don't know how much space or whatever that we're working with. But yeah, I definitely think they could turn it into something there, and they could even turn it into something after Halloween where they make it Christmassy, where you could go and visit something Christmassified,
like a Christmas tree trail or something. I don't know. Is it something that they could also charge extra for? I think if it was a Halloween situation, that if it's done right, absolutely you could charge. Obviously, you have to get into Hollywood Studios in the first place, so people are going to pay for a ticket there. But then, in addition to that, you pay what, $40, $50, whatever, to have access.
I'd make it a paid lightning lane,
or something like that.
That's the only way to get into it. The same way we do with Guardians.
I like it.
It has to be a paid lightning lane. It's not even a virtual queue. So, you want to go that day, then you get up, you pay your $40 or $30 or whatever it is, and you get to go. Yeah, I could definitely get behind that.
I could,
Josh and Bob.
Yeah, guys, like, we're just out here giving you free stuff to use.
Seriously, I've got the dollar bills, y'all.
And we would absolutely do it. And I think a lot of people would absolutely do it if it was done right. Yeah. And like I said, it's got to be a little scary. It doesn't have to be
adorable.
But it doesn't have to be like, we're not trying to compete with Universal. That's not my vision anyway. But some fun jumps like, oh, but not, oh, not that level, not that level. So we definitely have some levels here that we're looking for. So yeah, that's what I would love to see for the future of Disney World Halloween. And then we can come back next year and have this conversation again and have, maybe we'll tell people to go to Disney World next time. I don't know. It's just a thought.
Well, and as you were talking earlier, I was like, I have not yet been to the Moana Adventures of Water, whatever that thing is called. I haven't been there yet, but I was like, oh, I wonder if that's something that we can turn into Villains Grove,
temporarily
at night or something. Like, I don't know, maybe they could do something with that, and then you'd have a little more Halloween in Epcot, and it's not just Food and Wine Festival, which I know that everybody loves Food and Wine Festival except for me, and that's okay, but I'm over Festival 365, and
we want Halloween 365. Are you feeling it?
Correct.
So yeah, I just think there's some potential there. Hollywood Studios, I think, was the easiest potential one to like put something together to have kind of a plan for Halloween out there. Similar to like what you did at DCA, where there's like Cars Land got a, temporary overhaul of things. I think you could also do that at some Hollywood Studios attractions and stuff. So we'll see if
they might be able to do that in like Toy Story Land, even like maybe
totally.
like decorate that the same way we do for Christmas. They could maybe decorate it for Halloween. But also, Hollywood Studios would make a lot of sense from like the old Hollywood horror film aspect, where like you can bring that really into that park and kind of like tie it all in the way that we used to have that whole section in the Great Movie Ride.
Mickey's Dancing Skeletons. They've got access to Alien is another Disney owned-ish property. However, whatever the marriage that gave them that is. So yeah, like there's some potential that we could do a little bit more scary things. And I agree with you. I just think it makes so much sense to like make that the next place that we do some Halloween stuff for.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Give me some studios love.
It would be great. It would be great. Okay. All right. I think that's it, right? Are we good? Wrapped it all up?
I mean, we've spent an hour and 20 minutes talking about Halloween, so I think we're good.
For now.
But if anyone has any questions that we didn't cover, because honestly, there probably is like, there are definitely going to be things that we didn't cover. But a few of those questions, you can email us at noguiltdisneypod@gmail.com, or you can join us in our Facebook group, which is No Guilt Disney. Or you can join us each weekish, 2 weeks-ish,
something-ish,
here on YouTube or on our podcast, because as Patty likes to say,
it's no fun to fangirl Halloween 365 alone. Bye, y'all.
Bye.